Good morning, YouTube. My own Boontag, coming here out of Michigan. Yeah, today I'm going to talk about going broke in the Philippines. Philippines manipulation. And what I mean about that is spending the last 6 years back and forth in the Philippines, I've met a lot of expats down there. First of all, don't open up a sari store. I've heard too many stories. Me personally, we had a store. It's just, I don't want to say some of them can work. I mean, if you meet a Filipina and they already kind of have an existing store and they're in the right spot. But listen to this. Think about this. If you go down to the Philippines and let's say you meet a Filipina and, she's going to want to work, do something. But when you go down there and you have a store, she's going to be in that store 12 hours out of the day. You're going to be in that store visiting. And to make that 200 or 300 peso, it's just a waste of time. You're just better off giving your Filipina in the beginning an allowance, or, because this is the thing. I met this one expat right down there in my town. Same thing. We had a store and he's like, wow, nice store. And, not quite a 7-Eleven, but man, it was really nice. We had all the cool stuff in there. And he told me a story about his store and how he 30 to 40,000 peso right off the bat, just to stock the store, which that's not much money, $500-600. But here's the thing, you're just getting going. And why the stores are, they start off pretty good. The first one to 3 months is because when a new store opens up in the province, the people go there for credit. They already owe credit at the other store. So that's the thing I learned from a really good businessman there in the Philippines in our town that owns some big stores. He told me, no credit today, come back tomorrow. And this guy that I met, great guy, a lot younger than me too. Not a lot, but 10 years younger, 15 years younger. They basically went out of business because they were selling because it was all credit. And then when it comes to pay, some of the people will pay, most of them will just pay a little bit, ask for more credit. So the next month he's putting more money into this thing. The wife's working longer hours. So long story short, right about 4 or 5 months, bankrupt. You're going to get a lot of people. We get people coming up and they say, like it'll be a guy, like, hey, sir, you American? And I'm like, no, I'm Japanese, or I'm Russian. Yeah, I'm American. Always got some kind of deal like, hey, we have this business, you can invest. And like I said, don't buy into it. If it's like just like right here in America, if it's too good to be true. The thing is the franchises. If you are going to do something, I'd stick to a franchise. At least your goods, most of the goods, they're going to supply them. That's the big thing there with over 7,000 different islands. I mean, say 70 major islands, you're going to deal with getting your product there. It's going to be tough getting stuff. We actually had a hard time, like even San Miguel, getting the beer. It's supposed to show up on certain days. It comes a day late. You're already down. There's a fiesta going on. But don't waste your time on them sari stores. My wife, like I said, if you're in the province and you got land, stick to farming. You'll do a lot better. Think about it. We got the piggery. You can't lose. I mean, the swine flu came in. We just didn't get the other swines pregnant. Thing is we always have pork. I don't really care for pork, but I'll do a nice pork chop once in a while, or the ribs. Cows, you can get your beef. Thing is you can get a couple freezers. You always got your free meat, vegetables. You can't go wrong. I know a lot of people down there that own like hectares of land, and they got the piggery, they got their cows, they got the goats. And they actually do pretty good, If you're living in the province, if you're Filipina, obviously has a little house and you upgrade, so you got a room lease with an air con, think about it. You go down there, all you're paying for is electricity, food. And then you got all that leftover money where you can just travel, you know, take off, go somewhere for a week or 3 days, come back, you know, explore the Philippines. You know, I watch all this stuff on budgets and stuff. That's different. That's when you're in the bubble. You're like in Manila or Cebu or Iloilo. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit more, but obviously a lot cheaper than America. Way cheaper than America. But you know, there's a lot of smiley faces down there. And just like here in America, you know, everybody, you know, I get it. It's a poorer country. You know, everybody's trying to get money, you know, to get a little bit wealthier. You know, I'm hearing all these stories about like the contractors. We have it here in America, but not as much anymore. I mean, there is still some crap that goes on, but that's what you get. You know, that's what, you know, if you're going to hire a contractor here, you know, run his builder's license. Make sure he's got a builder's license. If he doesn't have a builder's license, right there's a red flag. You know, there is a lot of that going on. You know, it's do your own research. I've noticed, like in the Philippines, you'll get workers and they start off pretty good and they're hustling. And then after a couple months, if you're not around, I mean, it's just like here in America. People are going to take advantage. You know, I see it here where I'm working. You know, the main boss ain't around. I see guys in there, they're on their phones, they're talking. But what I'm getting at is if you get down there, a lot of us are the same. We go through the same stuff. You know, maybe you met a Filipina that went to college and she can't find a job and she's working for 300 or 400 peso at the hotel or something, you know, a receptionist, or maybe at a convenience store. I see it all the time. There's a lot of educated people down there that can't get jobs, just like here in America. But I think here it's just because they're lazy and they don't want to work. But down there, like I say, I have no regrets. You know, we started the store. I know now that in the province, it's just too tough. You're not going to compete against those bigger stores that are there. The people just have, I don't know if you call it honor. They're going to keep going to that store. They will. You will get some business in the beginning because it's going to be credit. They're going to come in, buy a little bit, you know, just you're making a few peso, and then they're going to come in the second time and they're going to hit you up with that credit, you know. They're going to want credit. 200, 300, 400 peso, 500 peso, and then eventually they're going to try to hit you for 1,000 peso. But it adds up. You know, we had, we gave some people credit. We were lucky we got paid back. We just got screwed on the people that we rented from. They took advantage. And then what are you going to do down there? Hire an attorney for $500 when maybe they took, you know, 3,000 USD, and then you're going to try to go through court. The barangay captain, blah, blah, blah. You know, you're just not going to win. You know, it's just not worth the time. Contracts down there, I honestly don't think they hold any value. We'll see. You know, I'm going through a little court thing here coming up. I'll be going back down there, but I've seen too much. Keep it simple. Like I said, that little piggery, we'll be turning the house into eventually. I don't know if it'll be on the 3rd floor, but we're already going to be starting the conversion on the 2 bedrooms because we need space. I'm afraid to go buy land. There's so much, I mean, I hate to say it, I don't know who to trust. I hear stories where you can go through, I don't think it's quite a, see, down here in America, we got the title company. So down there, even if you go through a realtor, I mean, it seems like, you know, everybody knows everybody. You can sign these documents, but then another sibling could come in and say, oh, no, I never signed off. I've heard some stories. Like my wife even says, hell no, we're not buying no land. I just don't have any trust right now, you know. Even Dexel's brother even said, no, you know, do what you're, you know, stick with the piggery. It keeps my wife busy. It's at the house. She doesn't have to go anywhere. And it's just simple, quick money. And then I do get a lot of comments. People say, no, it smells. No, it doesn't smell. If you're down there in the province, and you're around relatives, you know what smells is that trash burning, the frickin' trash burning. Or you got, your relatives got 60, 70 chickens. That's what smells. The pigs, you know, we got 4 septic tanks, power washers. Now, as soon as they go to the bathroom, my wife's on it, or one of the kids, even me. I just take the power washer and it goes right down the drain. It's not bad at all. Honestly, I rather smell the pig shit than that burning fucking trash. Oh my God. Sometimes it's pretty bad. But just a heads up. You know, just walking. There's times it's always and I'm not knocking anybody. It's just you just got to get used to it. They're gonna come up. Oh, you're American, or you're this. You got money. You got money, and I'm like, money? Like, you're rich. No, I'm not, you know. No, I'm not, you know, so. And I'm sure there's some good investments down there too. It's just, when you don't speak the language, I think it's kind of hard to do business, you know. You know, I was asked on a couple other opportunities, but like I said, nah, it's just not worth it. If I go down there, I want to travel. The Philippines, it's a beautiful country. Like my wife said, you know, we'll keep it simple now. No more stress. You know, sitting in a convenience store all day long, waiting for customers to come in, and even if it was a 7-Eleven, the thing is you got to get a really good manager in there. No different than United States running a business. It's just like my business. When I'm framing houses, when I'm on the job, shit gets done. If I'm not on the job, I mean, back in the day, I had some really good foremen. They worked as hard as I worked. And they got some good, hefty, good bonuses too. Nowadays, people want to take advantage. I think they all think you owe them something, you know. You know, oh, look what the boss has, you know. You know, I don't know. It's just 2025. It's just getting a little goofy everywhere. But anyways, I wouldn't invest in the Philippines, you know, unless it's a franchise maybe, because at least with the franchise, they're not going to open up, you know, let's say you get a Subway and you're there in Mactan, Newton. They don't have a Subway. I was thinking, shit, it's not much money to invest in one of those. Or like a Domino's Pizza or something. They can't open up another one, you know, and it's got to be a far radius. You know, the thing is you open up something like Shopao King and you're booming on the Shopaos down there. That's that little fluffy dough with meat inside that they love. And they put ketchup on it. They'll just open one right next door. Right now in Tayasan, a buddy of mine that was well known that had the chicken rotisserie going, you know, 30, 40 chickens. He actually opened up a hardware store because the chicken business was kind of up and down. And well, then just 2 places down from him, a franchise came in, a chicken place opened up. And same thing, you know, it takes off, it booms for about 3 months, and then it just takes a dive bomb. You know, it's kind of funny, like you'll get people coming into your store asking for credit, but it's like you go to 7-Eleven or their franchise, they're not going to ask for credit, you know? You know, it's like I go to the grocery store, I can't go there and go, hey, can you give me credit on this loaf of bread and milk? You know, but like I said, it's just a different world. So anyways, stay tuned, next video, and I'm just getting a little excited because I get to head back over there, counting down the days. It's going to be real soon here, another 4 weeks. I'm actually heading up north to do a job for 5 days up in beautiful Traverse City. We got a small job to do up there, and so it'll keep me busy, get another week down, and then I'll have about 3 more weeks to go before I head back over to the Philippines. So stay tuned for the next video. Thank you.